So I was told a stat a couple of weeks ago that I was basically blown away by. And it said to me that 98% of people that are on LinkedIn don't post more than once per month. In fact, some don't even post at all. They just lurk. So in this podcast, I'm going to talk to you about the best ways to use LinkedIn to capture the imagination of your target market. By the way, this is from a man that literally a few days ago put together a post that generated nearly 500,000 impressions. So I'm going to share with you what you need to do to ensure LinkedIn can work as a tool to help you become more successful as a business owner or sales professional. Let's get into the podcast. So LinkedIn, unless you've been under a rock, you'll all know what LinkedIn is. You'll have been part of it as a network for a long period of time. You've maybe been on there, maybe shared a role. It's something that you've done to basically see how you can better your personal network. And LinkedIn for me is an area that I am continuing to work on and improve every day. If we've not connected on LinkedIn, then please reach out to me. Search for James White Sales. I'll put a link to my profile in the podcast. But I wanted to just use today's podcast to talk about how LinkedIn is a tool that you can use in the right way to really engage and get great results with a target audience of people, especially if you're in sales and want to do business together. And it really is a platform that if you do start taking this advice on board, can grow exponentially for you. I also encourage you at this point, I did a podcast and I'll put a link to the episode with a lady called Louise Brogan, who is a LinkedIn expert. And I really encourage you to listen to Louise's stories, to follow her on LinkedIn and her YouTube channel. She's got huge amounts of content on how to use LinkedIn in the most effective way. But as I say, the stat I was told was that 98% of people are on LinkedIn don't post more than once a month. And I think this is quite incredible when you think that this is a business network that gives you, for free, the chance to showcase and share solutions to problems that your audience may have. And I strongly encourage you to start using it more, even if you're a bit worried, and I'll come to this as part of the conversation today about what to post and how to post. So, look, LinkedIn is used by millions and millions of people worldwide. And as I mentioned last week, I'll give you a personal story to help you resonate hopefully this more. I'm a regular poster on LinkedIn, and I posted it was a post actually. It was more of a personal post around how some people had just been made Sir in the UK, and I saw 2 people had been made Sir, and not one other person I thought should have been made that. And I put this post out, and I literally was like, well, this is just my personal view on something. And I was blown away, and I'm literally blown away that as of right now, and I literally will, if I look at it right now, as of today, there are 485,887 impressions. The post has had 6,308 people like it or comment or interact with it. It's had 1,200 comments, and 196 people have reposted it. So if you think about that, nearly 500,000 people have in the last week alone gain access to see my post. And that's for free. That's PR, it's awareness for absolutely nothing. And even though the post I mentioned was not necessarily on the subject of sales, it was on the subject of inspiration. And since that point, I've had over 400 people decide to follow me on LinkedIn. And out of that 400, I think 322 have subscribed to my newsletter. So in the last week alone, literally 322 people are now going to receive my weekly newsletter on sales tips and success at the top of the funnel. People I didn't know. And so LinkedIn is a platform that I think can do incredible things for your business for absolutely nothing, especially as we get into, if you're worried about tough economic times, it's a platform that so many people can use. And it's a tool that I'm encouraging the companies that I work with to get more from. So you might be thinking, well, where do I start? What's the areas to focus on? What's the best way in which I can start to use LinkedIn? So let me give you a few different tips to focus on to start with. So point number 1 is this. Optimize your profile for your audience for LinkedIn. So when people go to click on and see your name on LinkedIn, what is it they see? Now, for me, if you go to LinkedIn, you'll see on my profile, I have a banner at the top. I have a picture of me in a professional looking way. I can't do much about my face, sorry, but I've only got it in a professional way. And then I have a strap line that talks around how I work with CEOs and leaders to turn sales targets into actual numbers. And so what we want to be able to do is ensure that you have a profile and an initial series of words that's used that resonate with your target audience. So let's just say you sell software into HR companies, for example. I don't know, just bringing that out. Or let's say you sell financial services into elderly, into accountants. I don't know. What you should have on your profile is a professional looking picture. The banner at the top, which is, if you like, that real estate, should maybe outline a little bit more about who you are or what you do or the things that, where you've been recommended. If you've got reviews, 55-star reviews, put that at the top. And then just have a strapline. And LinkedIn only gives you 300 characters that can describe what it is you do without someone then having to click onto your profile in detail. And you want something that stands out, that is compelling, that hooks people in. So again, and I'm continually improving mine. So mine says working with sales leaders to turn targets into actual business. But I may even change that. By the time you listen to this, I may have even changed that. I'm focusing a lot at the moment on helping business owners achieve business value from the sales growth that they do. So it may well be I change that. So optimize your profile so that it talks to your audience specifically. And make sure that the photo that you have is also a professional looking photo. If you have a photo that looks like you down the pub, or I've got other people that will say, they've got a photo that is with them at a family event, that's okay. But the question is what message does that send to your audience? Does that send the message that you want to your audience? So for my audience, I'm a professional in what I do. I'm a personal and I love having great times, but I also understand that business is also about getting results. So I want to look good, and I've got a professional photo. And you can get photos done. There's even people, I think a lady called Sarah Ayres even does professional photos. She'll even do them remotely for you. So get yourself a nice, good-looking professional photo and a headline that makes someone intrigued or makes them curious. Makes them think, who is this person? This person could be worth a look at in more detail. And then the other part you want to then do is you have then what we call an about section of LinkedIn. Just write a little bit of a story around who you are and what you do and how you help people. And be in a position where you can start to showcase a little bit more around your story and what you're about and what you're interested in doing. That profile for your audience is critical, because if people then do start to come across you and start to find your details, they're going to think, this is a person that's worth having a look at or following, or even being able to see what you've got to offer. And if they're using tools like Sales Navigator, which is LinkedIn's premium tool that they charge for per month, then they may even save you to a list or start to want to engage with you on a regular basis. So point number one is make your profile for LinkedIn, important, and make it look professional, resonate with your target audience. Obviously, if your target audience isn't professionals, then don't put a professional photo up, but make sure it matches the audience you're engaging with. So point number two is this: create and try and share some content that's engaging on LinkedIn on a regular basis. As I mentioned, the stat shows that 98% of people don't only post once per month. And actually, a number of people don't post at all on LinkedIn. And the reality is, people have this sort of thought process, I don't want to post content that's boring people and stuff that's sharing, my day-to-day activity and what I've had to eat. I'm not saying you want to go down that route, but this is a free platform for you to showcase and solve problems for your audience. And so if you, specifically, as I say, sell to, software to HR directors, and the problems that audience faces, then starting to share, ideas and how they can overcome those problems is going to make that audience think this person can help me and is useful. And if that content is especially done across a mixture of different methods, so you've got photos, you've got media, videos, for example, you've got polls, you've got maybe a carousel where you've got a number of photos, you're going to have some different messages to share and use that your audience are going to find valuable. So, for example, if anyone's, as I say, listening to the podcast and you want to see what I share on LinkedIn, it's stuff around sales, it's how to achieve sales growth. As I say, we're adjusting slightly what we're doing so, business owners can achieve the growth and the consistent growth they want to achieve value in their businesses. then those are the things you're going to get from my LinkedIn post. But you're also going to get some stuff, as I say, like a personal point on what I thought to the honor system. I've shared stuff on how I do cold dips, for example. I've shared stuff on things that scare me. So I'm trying to become personal and open on LinkedIn so people can see the real me and who I am. And that builds trust and makes people hopefully like me and want to engage with me and want to see value in what I share. But one of the things I would say to you around the content that you share, and I see a lot of people doing this and making this mistake, is they try and sell their services on LinkedIn. One of the things that I just don't think works is when I see posts that say, we offer this service, if you want to come and buy this, please click here. And the only time this works is if you've got a significant, massive following and you're offering a course and you've got lots of followers and people that sort of look up to you, then it can work because people want to work with you. You've built that profile. But if you're relatively new to LinkedIn and the first post you're doing is buy my services, just don't be afraid. Don't be surprised that people don't engage or interact with it, and therefore you won't see your impressions, which is LinkedIn's view of how many people see your posts, go anywhere. People don't want to be sold to on LinkedIn. They don't want this stuff pushed down their throat. They don't want to be told about having to buy your product or service all the time. They're just not interested in that. What they do want to see are solutions and fun and ways that they can solve problems and challenges they've got. So point number 2 is share content that can engage with your audience. So the third point is this. Your audience exists, I'm sure, and if it doesn't exist on LinkedIn, there will be other social channels that you can use, but there will be lots of your audience on LinkedIn, and you can use LinkedIn's tools and their search tools to find those people. So let's carry on the example like I mentioned. Let's say you sell software to HR directors of companies between 50 and 500 people. You can on LinkedIn start to go in and start to search on those people, search on the term HR director and company size, and LinkedIn will provide you with a list of people that are people and on the network that you can then connect with. Now, one of the things you can do, and we'll talk about this in the next in a couple of moments' time, is there are different methods to use to engage with people. But one of the things you can then start to do is to start seeing that your audience exists on LinkedIn, and most people have on their section of their profile the ability for you to follow them. So even if you don't connect with these people, you can follow them. So if I'm a salesperson selling software into HR directors, and I notice the HR director or people director or organizational development director of a company that I'm thinking could be an interesting prospect, I might go on and follow that person. Now, what that's going to do is do two things. It's going to make that person, depending on their profile and size, going to make who is this person, who's looked at my profile, which might mean they look at your picture, your profile to see who you are. But it may even be that they're happy for you to connect up. And when you connect up, you can then start to exchange messages and start to open up a conversation. And one of the critical things that I talk to people about using LinkedIn for is LinkedIn is just an online version of business networking. It's an online version. So treat online networking the same as you would treat face-to-face networking. You would open up a conversation with someone. You would meet someone and say, hey, how are you? What do you do? Tell me about what's going on in your industry right now. You would ask them questions. LinkedIn is no different. Even though it's done just online, it's the same way to approach conversations. So utilize that as a method to try and build connections with your audience type, and you're going to be able to open up within the space of 3 to 5 months, maybe, or 3 to 6 months, a good few hundred people that could be target audience for you and your solution that you can then hopefully in time work together and solve solutions and solve issues for that can make them want to work with you. So utilize LinkedIn search and outreach tools. There are so many things you can do there. So the next point is this. LinkedIn has a number of groups that are really powerful groups that, again, can enable you to connect with your audience. And it often allows you to join those groups and become part of the conversation. So again, you've got groups, let's say, again, going on to the point, you target HR directors with your software. There are lots of groups related to HR directors that you can join. And if you join those groups, then you can then start to see who's in the groups. You can start to see what posts are being made. You can start to comment on posts. Maybe if you've got a problem that you solve that you can share some ideas for and share a solution for, you can help other people in that group. And that, again, opens up an audience of people that maybe you're not connected with to see who you are and what you do and what you're about. So have a little think about, connecting to a couple of groups for, depending on the subject area you work within. Have a search on LinkedIn. Search to see what groups are there and to see whether there's some people you can get into and groups you can get involved in. But again, just going back to my point around the post about not selling too much, not selling too soon and not selling on LinkedIn, please don't join a group and then start to promote your company and say, do you want to buy my solution? It's going to make you look like a dick. It's going to make people not want to engage with you, and it's going to make people think, nah, they don't even. And some groups will even remove you from the group from doing that, and so you lose the opportunity before you've even started. So just be careful. Just go along. Start to maybe observe, see what comments are there, see who's the player, who are the people that are already popular in the group, and see if there's some people there that you can start to build some connections with and start to engage with them. And be in a position where you start to really contribute to other groups that are in your area. A lot of the time when we're doing selling and business prospecting, we've got to do a lot of the work, the grunt work, before we start to see some of the good stuff. That comes from us sharing posts and sharing ideas that are positive to help people and commenting to help people solve a solution, and using our emotional intelligence not to push things down people's throat, but to build relationships and discussions with them. So, contribute to LinkedIn groups. They're a great way to gain value. And one of the other key things in my next point is to try and give yourself dedicated daily time to focus on LinkedIn. So one of the things I try and do every day is give myself 15 minutes per day just to look at my LinkedIn feed and to start to basically look through the feed. And then I have 15 minutes to then start to look at the profiles and the details of people that I would love to work with and prospects I'd like to engage with. And what I do by having that daily dedicated time is I also give myself a minimum target to try and commit and try and connect with up to 3 people per day minimum. I'll try and do 5 to 10 if I can, but 3 is a minimum. And the reason being, and even though LinkedIn has some rules that limit the amount you can do this, I'm always trying to reach out and connect with different people that are in my target audience. And for me, that's CEOs and sales leaders that want to grow their business and achieve, business value. And so what I'm trying to do is connect with different people in that audience. So, use LinkedIn on a daily basis. If you dip in and out of LinkedIn and try it once a week and for 10 minutes, you're not going to achieve success. If it's the platform that your audience is on, and this is always a good question, if this isn't the platform, that's fine. Go and use Facebook or Instagram or TikTok, wherever your audience is. But if you're selling to a business audience and they're on LinkedIn, which most people are, then spend some time. Commit 15, 20 minutes, 30 minutes, even an hour a day to being involved in LinkedIn, whether that's not just posting, but to be able to contribute to groups, or maybe be in a position, which is my next point, to comment and like the posts of the people that you connecting and want to work with. So sometimes people on LinkedIn won't want to connect with someone they don't know because they'll feel that they don't know you, and therefore it's a bit like trying to ask someone to, for a business card that you've just met. They might think, well, who are you and who's that person? So a great way to start to build relationships on LinkedIn is to comment and like on posts. So let's say one of your target audience has put a post up around something they're doing, then you can go in and comment on that and say, great idea, I love the way you've talked about this, this and this, great suggestions. And what it will then do is if that person's using LinkedIn actively, then it will make them look and think, okay, who's this person that's looked? Oh, it's so-and-so, what do they do? And it enables you maybe to open up the connection with them. Hopefully they might even try and connect with you. Or especially if they start to see that you're posting and commenting on their posts on a regular basis, not in a funny, stalky way, but just adding value, then they're going to think they're someone that they want to open up a dialogue and conversation with. So use LinkedIn to really engage with thoughts and comments. It really builds relationships. It keeps you at the front of their mind. Oh, it's that person again. Oh, there's the people that do that software for that. Oh, that's quite interesting. And then they might look at your profile and a post you've made around solving a problem. Before you know it, it's opening up a potential dialogue with that potential client. And this is all for free. They don't have to pay for this. The only thing that it costs us to do this is our time. So engaging with comments and messages is really important. But the other key thing to be able to do is to try, if you can, is to build some thought leadership with your posts and through content. And one of the things that I encourage people to try and do is, this is more difficult, and it may well be that you're in a role that you don't, have, you've got, marketing or compliance or people to agree this. But if you can try and create some thought leadership by creating articles that are useful and valuable, you'll find people get will resonate with you and will start to build a perception of you in their mind that means them more open to engaging. And Google a number of years ago identified that in order to feel comfortable and confident to work with someone, you need to see 7 hours of content across 11 interactions across 4 media. Well, if you've got 7 hours of content that you're sharing, materials, articles, thought pieces, things that you think are important in your industry, then other people seeing that is going to increase your profile. It's going to make people aware of what you do. It's going to make people think in your industry or the industry you want to target that you're a helpful person that can make a difference in their world. And that's going to literally just really make them feel that you're someone worth connecting with and engaging with. So look, now there are a number of ways you can also use LinkedIn for ads, and LinkedIn has a sort of a campaign. If you want to start to go down the campaign route, you can. But I would encourage you to start off with to maybe not think about using LinkedIn ads, or maybe even not even Sales Navigator, but just commit some regular time to engaging and sharing some posts. And if you're not sure, people say to me a lot of the time, I'm not sure what to post, or I don't know if I feel comfortable posting, then one of the things I'd always encourage you to remember is this. We always think that people are going to see things and remember stuff around us and then think, oh, you're the person that posted this around this issue. People forget things. People are exposed to 12,000 messages a day and they only remember 4 or 5. Or they only remember 12 if they can act on 4 or 5. So the reality is, just because you've posted something on LinkedIn, it doesn't mean someone's going to see that and remember that the next day. They're not. The reality is, if you are focused on helping and share content that solves problems and challenges of your audience, and you prove yourself to be helpful and useful, other people are going to want to engage with you. They're going to want to comment on your post. They're going to like it. And even if they don't comment and like on it, they're going to potentially look and start to see, okay, this person's someone that I think could be helpful and useful for me. So, share those insights and value. Ask maybe colleagues in marketing or other people to come up with some things. If you're not sure, just maybe here's a simple tip you can do. Pick the top 3 problems of your audience that they have, and maybe just do a video or write a small post to say, hey, HR directors in this space tend to find issues in this area. Here's 1 or 2 methods in which they can solve that. And just put some simple tips and ideas. And if you do that in a public way with a photo or a video, you'll be amazed at how many people will engage with you. But even if they don't engage straight away, don't give up. It takes that consistency. It's taken me a long time to build a decent profile on LinkedIn. And I do that on a regular basis by posting on every day. There are some days that posts don't go very well at all. There are not many people see them. And there's other times when 500,000 people see it. So the reality is, you've got to commit to doing it on a regular basis and commit to doing it and see to yourself, this is a great way to build visibility of who you are as a person that can maybe sell and help them build connections that can then in time do business. And then the final point around LinkedIn for this podcast, and by the way, I'd love to get your thoughts on how you use LinkedIn yourself and what you think works for you, is just take a bit of time every month or every quarter to review what's working. What posts in particular, and there's some great tools that you can use that can help you do this, but what's working? What posts tend to get really great success? Was there anything you put out there that had more, got more traction than others? Start to have a look at what's working and what's not working. Now, I attended a course last year around a course called Unignorable, where they talked about hooks, and there are a number of key things that are critical hooks in order to bring people in. And the course founders said, a great post with a bad hook won't get views, but a bad post with a great hook will. So try and think of things that can create attention or can create that curiosity. One thing you might do is to say, 3 things a HR director can do every day would be this. Or it may well be, here's a secret I learned. People are always interested to know those type of things. But try and create a record of what's working for you. And then, of course, if the things that are working are getting you greater visibility, then you do more of those. A little tip for you, photos of you tend to go down well, especially if they're used on an ad hoc basis. If you've got a photo, a selfie that you're using in a business situation, then do that. In fact, I'm even going to do a selfie now of me recording a podcast, because do you know what? Those podcast things, those photos tend to do quite well. So while I'm here and while you're watching on the video, I'm doing a selfie, and I'll probably post that up to say today was podcast recording day. The reality is, those type of things go well when people can see things that are a bit more personal. In the LinkedIn algorithm, there's some great resources. I encourage you to have a look a number of resources on how you can become more visible on LinkedIn. But these tools work really well, and give it a go is my message to you. Give it a try. It's a free resource that can help you generate business. Get over yourself if you start thinking people don't want to hear or see from you. If you commit to solving a problem for an audience, then be visible on LinkedIn. It's going to help you achieve the right results. And if you don't, it's still going to be something you can do free, and you don't have to worry about the cost of it and wasting resources and money. But if you commit to over time, it will get results. So I hope this has been helpful for you on using LinkedIn effectively. Let me know if you use LinkedIn. Let me know what strategies work effectively for you. I'd be interested to know. But as I always do, I always finish the podcast with an inspirational story. And I wanted to talk this week around a lady called Danielle Fletcher Horn, who is a lady based in Aberdeen. And she, a number of years ago, started a program called ABBA Necessities. And she'd seen that there was a number of kids in school who basically weren't getting the basic essentials. Unfortunately, they didn't have the resources for that. And they didn't have, whether it's clothing or milk or food or nappies in some cases in care, in nursery care. And she literally decided that she didn't want that. She felt that every kid deserved to have a life that they could grow and become the best person they wanted to be. And she registered the charity in 2019. And now Danielle has literally provided over 18,000 children in Scotland, with resources to help them, families that need that support. And she's raised over £1.5 million. She's now engaged, and she won a Points of Light award. And I think when I think of people that are doing things to try and help others in their community, I think Danielle Fletcher Horn is a great example of that, and someone that's doing stuff to help others. So those sort of stories inspire me. They inspire me to continue to do great work and to support and help people. And I hope Danielle's story done the same thing for you. So that's it for this week on the podcast. I hope you've enjoyed. Hope you've used some of we'll take on board some of the ideas I used and suggested here to make LinkedIn work for you. It can work if you use it in the right way. Make it happen and see what opportunities come from it in time. But give it your all. Give it a chance, and don't be one of these people that only posts once every month. Post regularly. I recommend people posting maybe 3 to 4 times a week if you can. Be visible to your audience, add value for them, and watch the opportunities and connections come your way. That's it from this week, though, from me on the podcast. Hope you've enjoyed. If you have, like and tell other people about it. If you could review or rate the podcast as well, that would help me. But until next week, stay safe, and thanks for listening as ever. Take care.